Hey guys, Professor Numbers here. So I want to tell you about something that has happened quite a bit actually since about I think 2 years ago. So as you can see here, my me and my wife are obviously hugging. Um, so let me tell you how I met Claire Dash. So basically, what happened was she was once my student in a class, and me being Celestia's nephew, you can probably guess that I had a perk as to being a teacher. Well, I was only 19 at the time, and she was only 18. So I think that would have been a bit more different if I was maybe, I don't know, 30 or 40. Now, the thing is, with Celestia being my aunt, I think it also goes without saying that even though my student is 18 and not really supposed to have a relationship with a teacher, I think in the world of Equestria, that's a bit different. See, we've seen in a couple episodes that ponies have connections with a lot of different other ponies. And the thing is, with that, it makes people think about what they're going to be doing and what they're going to be going through. Now, I wouldn't say this is bad in any way. I would just say it's a bit more different than what other ponies are used to. We've seen ponies get married. We've seen ponies kiss. We've seen ponies do everything. But in all reality, is it really bad for a student to be attracted to a teacher? I wouldn't think so. But back when I was in school, I did have a crush on a teacher. Now, this is where it gets complicated. Ponies have different thoughts than others. It's not bad in any kind of manner, but here's where it gets really interesting to tell. Every single pony has their own desires out of relationships. Ponies might be obsessed with going to Las Vegas and enjoying a day, or maybe they're obsessed with grading papers outside of school, like me. Or they might be obsessed with a lot of other things, like Lyra, being like a human. That might be a topic for another video, but I met her in class, actually, and I actually wanted her to help her with some homework. I offered to come for her to come back to my house and finish it with my amazing setup that I had in my house already with computers. Now, we've all been there. You've wanted to invite some girl over to your house and to study, with ill intentions or not. It still happens more often than not that guys tend to do that more often than girls do, because girls don't really trust guys at all. In fact, she didn't trust me at all either. But I honestly got her hooked on me. That's why she's now my wife. But here's the thing. One thing is that I wasn't even trying to get her to lure it in to me. A second, I think that all goes without saying. She wants to try new things. That includes with my daughters. I'm not going to go into that, but a lot of things happened, and a lot of punishments, and a lot of tears and sweat went into it. Now, this marriage isn't really one you would call subtle. It's more of a rough roller coaster of surprises. Now, the, the thing is, it's not whether it's not it's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. I'll explain that in a second. But glitter really isn't that much of a pony to take lightly, I guess. Now, me going back to the point I had before is that she has she can't be taken lightly because mainly she is the kind of pony that will say what's on her mind whether you like it or not. She's the kind of pony that you don't never have to worry about what she's thinking unless she's mad at you. That's a bit different. How many times have you met a girl or someone else or significant other that is mad at you for almost everything you do that's wrong? Take a second. Okay, so if you have that locked in, go ahead and think about that as a wife or a husband. Now, picture that as being someone you met in school. So, either that happens or it doesn't. It's simple to think about. Now, here's another thing I like about me and her. We have different opinions on a lot of things. She might be the counsel of the school. I might be a teacher. But the thing is, with our daughters, they might follow in our footsteps. And I think to step into our horseshoes, as they say, I think it's pretty common for ponies to want to do what inspires them to do, right? Well, with Sunny, she's a bit different. She's a bit rebellious. She's at that age. She's at that stage in life where she wants to be rebellious. I can understand that totally. Sapphire is still young, but she still is rebellious just as much as Sunny is, and she actually goes out on her own a quiet bit to buy ice cream or something. Now, I will say that Sunny and Sapphire are very close to each other, and very much so. They are sisters. I can I can see completely what happens. But the thing is, with having two daughters and a wife, for me, even that's a hoofful. But I can see a lot of ponies trying to balance a family, just like every other pony in the world. Like, let's see, Kansas Shining Armor. They have a daughter that's a princess of an unicorn. So how is that affect being having just two Pegasus ponies that are sisters that are just, I don't know, a little bit older? They're Pegasus. They're not alicorns. They're not royalty of any kind. So why is it so hard to handle? Well, think about how you are as a parent, or if you ask your parents the same question. How do they deal with you? Whether you're a triple care or not, it should be the same answer because we can. Now, I wouldn't say that's a bad thing to think about. I would just think it's a bit different that every parent might say the same thing about their kid, even if it's not true. Now, simply put, every kid has their flaws, and every parent has their flaws, but even still, that doesn't answer our question. Why is every parent obligated to take care of a kid until at least 18, right? Well, because 18 is the adult age by the system, I guess you could say. They say 18 is the most legal age, but in ponies it's totally different. Ponies age differently than humans. And here's the thing about that. Having a wife, having two daughters, one older than the other, it makes it a bit different every single time. Because with the first child is very respectful in some ways, the second child is, well, a bit more respected by the parents. Now, whether you have two or three, the third might be the most protected and most, well, treated like royalty at the most. And the middle child, maybe is they try to be, they're kind of the same. The oldest, if you ask them to do something, they're going to do it whether they like to or not. And they obey you so much. The middle one might try to be a little smart, and you might still have to put your foot down with them. And the youngest will get the most respect and most treated like royalty. Now, I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just saying it's facts. If you can think of any other way, please tell me. But As for having only two kids, that's kind of different. I try to treat Sapphire like she's royalty, and I try to do the same thing with Sunny, but sometimes it just won't happen like that. With the Embers family having that kind of thing, it kind of happens more often than not that you're not only being the parent you always wanted to be, it's just the fact of being hard on a child just for you to be kind of teaching them a lesson about life. I can see a lot of parents doing that today, but this day and age, I wouldn't say all of them had been, you know, like that. See, a lot of things I've noticed with foals are that they're not really obedient that much, but they are kind of, I don't know, how can I say this? A bit rebellious in some kind of stages. We'll see that in a lot of kids today too. But in all reality, are they really that rebellious? I don't think so. I think they're just doing that just to see how they're partly impress their parents. Now, with one thing being another, I think that we should always go back to the obvious question: had I meet her in class? Well, Glitter was just one of my students. I honestly, she needed help with an assignment. I helped her. That wasn't really much of a story there. I guess I just wanted her to come back to my house so I can teach her a thing or two about the quiz or any kind of assignment I had. But after she fell for me, well, that's a bit different. In fact, I can probably tell you one thing I remember from her. She actually wanted a kid, and I actually didn't. Well, count on my legacy, if I was only 19 at the time, I guess I could tell you a little bit more. But even though she was only 18, I guess that makes her a bit more. Now that she's older and a little bit more mature, she does try to take my apple cider quite a bit, which is infused with alcohol. But that doesn't mean she's not good. That just means she's an alcoholic. Apple cider doesn't really have much of a alcohol content though, unless you make it like that. But with a lot of her drinking beer and vodka, it kind of makes it a bit better for her to just calm down just a little bit. That's why I stopped buying it, for one. And also because she just keeps drinking mine every time I try to get it out of the fridge. That's me, isn't it? But really, I just love her too much to say anything about it. And she also has, a bit much of a tendency, but that's alright. I always try to make her feel like she's a princess, and she is my princess. But even though it might be a little bit weird for me to say that out loud, I think she really deserves that. She might be just a bit more different than a lot of other ponies, but that's why I love her. That's why we're for each other. She had tried one thing that my brother told me about. Sunset Embers kind of did tell me that she tried to him in a lot of ways, and he's just smart like that. He has a wife. He knows how to do things on his own. He knows how to get out of seduction a lot because, let's face it, that's happened a lot before. And he also got one pony fired from her job because, that tried to happen to him again. And what happened? He got her fired. A lot of things happened between him and a lot of other ponies that didn't have that much of a chance with him to begin with. There's one thing that I do want to mention though, and I think you should all know this as well. Glitter has more personality than any pony else in this whole world. By living in Camelot, we can clearly see that. Living in Camelot makes her feel like she's actually wanted part of this family, and she knows what she must has to do. Being the council and leader of the council for the school board is actually pretty important for her, and I believe that's more of what we can all ask for her to do. I would think that she's more of a capable mare than doing anything else by herself than anything else she can't do by herself. But I think what really goes on in that head of hers is more beautiful than I can ever think of in my own head. Being most of a Empress family member isn't much of a perk. I guess it's more of a thought you can talk about. I'm not sure how to say it, but either way, it's just nice to know that you have ponies that can help you through everything. That's how I met Glitter. Anyway, guys, until next time, this is Professor Evers signing off. Till next time, class is dismissed.